Hello, my supernatural superstars. This is me, Belle. I'm just a normal girl with a slight obsession for the creepy, the crawly, the morbid, and the occult. My personal goal is to keep you on the edge of your seat and make you wonder if that noise you heard last night was really a mouse. So, turn off your lights, sit back and relax, and I'll keep you safe. At least I'll try to. Welcome to Belle's terrifying tales of horror, murder, mystery, the occult, and all other things that go bump in the night. Just south of a vibrant Mexico City, in the channels of Xochimilco, lies a place so creepy that you'll never be able to look at another Barbie without getting a shiver down your spine. It's known as La Isla de las Munecas in Spanish, but for us English speakers, we can simply translate it to the Island of the Dolls. At one point, this island wasn't easy to reach. Boats didn't usually stop there. In fact, some wouldn't even consider it because of the story surrounding the place. However, if you looked, you would find. And when you found, it would usually cost about 15 to 20 US dollars to get there. Nowadays, it's a lot easier to access because it's been turned into a tourist trap. The wonderfully terrifying island has been replaced by a few fake versions of itself that all tourism is taken to. The trip will cost you about 150 US dollars, including a fee to enter the island, and you'll have to deal with residents who are traveling with you and who are more inclined to make it a fun time, complete with music and booze, rather than the spooky trip that some of us would have hoped for. If you're looking for a fun, casual couple of hours, this place will work out fine for you. But I know that for me personally, it just won't do. The good news here is that although they may have ruined our dreams of one day walking amid the mountains of possessed dolls that are said to inhabit the real island, the legend and stories that have come from it will live on forever. And, if you're so inclined, I'll happily share that part of it here with you today. Are you ready? Then take my hand, hold it tight, and let's walk into the darkness together. There isn't much that is known about the early life of Don Julian Santana Barrera. Maybe if there was, we could better understand the reasons why this man chose to seclude himself in a small Chinampa island. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Chinampa is, it's basically a man-made floating body that is usually used for agriculture. In fact, Xochimilco is known to vastly use this technique for growing local flora such as willows and eucalyptus, various fruits and vegetables, and it's also used to grow lilies. That bit will come into the story in a minute, so keep it in mind. So, the stories circling the internet depict Julian as a very religious man who often went to nearby cities to preach to the public about his strong Catholic beliefs. As you can imagine, for multiple reasons, this didn't sit well with many, and a lot of times Julian would end up beaten or run out of these cities. This could certainly be the reason why he turned away from society and chose to refuge himself in the tiny Chinampa. But I'll also state that there are plenty of rumors that suggest that he was mentally unstable even before he moved to the island, and many others that suggest that it was the man himself who was possessed and not the dolls, which is why he secluded himself in the first place. That last one makes no sense to me personally, but I am merely stating what I've uncovered through research. I'll leave it to you to come up with your own conclusions. Okay, so, for whatever reasons, in the 1950s, Don Julian decides to move to the Chinampa. He settles in and begins his new life in the mini island. He constructs 3 small huts, plants vegetables for his own use as well as to sell for profit, and he begins to fall into his new routine of heading into cities to sell his crops and drink pulque, which is a popular cloudy white alcoholic drink in Mexico that is made from agave. But anyway, in all aspects except for the random move and isolation, the man seems to be living a normal life. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long. Soon after the move, Don Julian comes across an unconscious little girl floating in the water. Her body became tangled in the lilies that we were talking about earlier. Don Julian tried everything he could to revive the child, but couldn't. She had drowned. He picked her up, untangling her from the lilies, and being the religious man that he was, he dug a hole and buried her right on the island, placing a silver-colored cross as a marker on her tomb. He also took a small doll that he found laying near the body of the girl, and he hung it from a tree that was near the child's resting place, so that, according to him, she could play with it. And that is the moment where everything really begins to go south. Very shortly after that incident, Don Julian begins to hear a child crying uncontrollably and even screaming at night. I imagine this began like most of these situations do, so I assume he woke up, heard the crying, went looking around, and found no one on the island. And this continued until it happened enough times to convince him that it must have been the spirit of the little girl that he had buried. And even if the crying child wasn't enough to make him suspect the supernatural, there was also the very strange fact that the doll that he hung up for the girl began to appear on random places throughout the island. The situation became so bad that one day Don Julian woke up to find all of his crops ruined. He was sure it had been the little girl's spirit, and in an attempt to appease her, he began to bring home random dolls that he found in trash cans, on the streets, in the water. It didn't matter the condition of the doll or if it had body parts missing. He would pick them up, bring them to the island, and hang them up for the little girl. In time, it became an obsession for him. He even had a favorite doll that he named Agustina, in honor of his most beloved patron saint, San Agustin. He found Agustina August 28th, which is St. Augustine's Day, and ended up becoming so attached to her that he even built the doll an altar. He continued to do this for over 50 years, filling as much of the island as he could with the dolls, until one day in 2001, when they found Don Julian dead, laying in the very spot where he found the child's body 50 years ago. He was 86 when he died. Now, some people have said that it isn't just the little girl who haunts the Chinampa. The area where it's located isn't a stranger to death. In fact, its history is filled with deaths, especially drownings and murders, and they believe that the dolls in the island have been possessed by many spirits from the area. They assure that these dolls move, blink, wink, and even talk on their own. They say that they have heard whispers as if the dolls are speaking to each other. Some even believe that while they've been traveling near the island, the dolls call to them, trying to lead them to it. The spirit of Don Julian is said to have joined the many others on the island. Tourists flock to the island and its fake counterparts to pay homage to both Don Julian and the girl by leaving dolls as offerings. The island is said to now hold over 2,500 original dolls that were placed by Don Julian, as well as many others that were added by the tourists. Agustina, Don Julian's favorite doll, has become an object of fascination. People come to her to make offerings, praying to her as if she was the saint herself. The island has now fallen into the care of Don Julian's nephew Javier, who also believes that the island is haunted. As for cold, hard facts, the child's remains have never been found, and there hasn't been anyone who can corroborate the story. No one ever even tried to search for a missing child in the area at the time that this happened, so there's no real way of telling if Julian was indeed haunted by the girl, or if he's just living out a 50-year-long hallucination due to his mental illness. I will say this though, the place is definitely and undeniably creepy, and creepy places attract creepy things. I truly believe that even if it had all started out as just a delusion, at some point this place could have very easily turned into a truly haunted island. That's it. Thanks for listening. Be sure to comment on what you believe is the true story behind the Island of the Dolls and its tormented keeper, Don Julian. And remember to like if you liked and subscribe if you want more. Until next time.